anyways, Taylor Swift, she released an endorsement of 2 Democratic candidates. I didn't know she's from Tennessee, I'm assuming. Phil Bredesen, who's a very far-right Democrat, but he is running against the utterly loathsome Marsha Blackburn. She is a standout, one of the worst people in one of the worst Congresses ever. And then I think also Jim Cooper, who I don't know as much about. But I'm assuming, look, this is not her announcement that she's some great political radical, but this is her announcement that I have basic human decency and basic concern about human well-being. And I don't know if are you getting the statement? Okay, so she wrote this Instagram statement, and she said, I'll just quote briefly from it. Taylor Swift. I'm writing this post about the upcoming midterms elections November 6th, in which I'll be voting in the state of Tennessee. In the past, I've been reluctant to voice my political opinions, but due to several events in my life and in the world in the past 2 years, I feel very differently about that now. I have and will always cast my vote based on which candidate will protect and fight for human rights. I believe we deserve human rights. I believe we all deserve in this country. I believe in the fight for LGBTQ rights, and that any form of discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender is wrong. I believe that systemic racism we see in this country towards people of color is terrifying, sickening, and prevalent. I cannot vote for someone who will not be fighting for the dignity of all Americans, no matter their skin color, gender, or who they love. Running for the Senate in the state of Tennessee is a woman named Marsha Blackburn. It's actually pretty strong. As much as I have said in the past, I'd like to continue voting for women in office, I cannot support Marsha Blackburn. Her voting in Congress appalls and terrifies me. This is very strong. She voted against equal pay for women. She voted against the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, which attempts to protect women from domestic violence, stalking, and date rape. She believes businesses have a right to refuse service to gay couples. She also believes they should have no right to marry. These are not my Tennessee values. I'll be voting for Phil Bredesen and Jim Cooper for House of Representatives. Please educate yourselves on the candidates running in your state and vote based on those who most closely represent your values. Okay, so yeah, I mean this is a clear, as I say, it's a clear appeal to basic human decency. And who's going to get triggered by an appeal to basic human decency? Well, if you guessed a absolute lunkhead who Sam will be debating soon at Politicon, you guessed correctly. Here is Charlie Kirk. I just also want to say, I hope that one in good spirit joke does not get turned into a reason to cancel the debate with Sam. I do not want to hear the endless mishigas from Sam about that. So Charlie, sorry for the lunkhead comment. I'll let you speak for yourself. I'm sure you'll look way better than the comment I made about you.
This is what I used to love about Taylor Swift, is she stayed away from politics. It's all about music, all about, female empowerment. Look, she says the more I learn.
That literally was about female empowerment. She literally said, I have to speak out on these issues because this woman has also LGBTQ, but such an anti-woman voting record that I have to speak out. So within 10 seconds, he's already completely undermined the entire bullshit he's peddling for this whole ridiculous clip.
This is what I used to love about Taylor Swift, is she stayed away from politics.
Right.
It's all about music, all about, female empowerment. Look, she says, the more I learn about Marsha Blackburn's record in Congress, I can't support her. Well, maybe she should actually learn about her record in Congress. Being a co-sponsor of bills that stopped human trafficking, sponsoring bills that would stop the flow of drugs and opioids in the state of Tennessee, against domestic abuse, so on and so forth. It's rather evident and clear that I don't want to accuse her of this, but I don't think she was the only one that wrote that post on Instagram. She probably got some very bad information. And look, it is part of this narrative where celebrities that want to do good.
I think George Soros wrote it.
George Soros was like, let me in that Instagram account.
In the world, I'll give her the benefit of good intentions, are being told that people like Marsha Blackburn are horrible people, and nothing could be further from the truth. And the final thing is, she said, vote for Bredesen. Well, if you look at Bredesen's record when he was governor, huge allegations of covering up sexual misconduct in his administration when he was governor, reported by the Associated Press.
So the last thing about Bredesen I've never heard before, it's possible. I'd also add that Bredesen cut Medicaid. I'm not a fan of Bredesen. I would, in terms of how our elections work, I would vote for Bredesen in that state with less than no enthusiasm. He's a terrible candidate running against one of the absolute worst people in American politics, who not only voted in all the ways that Taylor Swift or whoever secretly wrote her post. Very good way of appealing to her, Charlie. That was very non-condescending. Correctly identified in terms of her broad-based prejudice vote. She's also a bagwoman for the healthcare industry, is one of the main fighters against human beings having health coverage in this country in any way, shape, and form, voting literally to make people die in the millions. And she's also a huge advocate and supporter of the student loan industry, along with voting, of course, for every other piece of Republican legislation, for wars, for environmental gutting, and every single other way to make America poorer, sicker, and dumber hellscape. She's a disgusting, grotesque, appalling, and terrifying person. And Taylor Swift owed an apology by super producer Matt Leck.
Look what you made me do.
Yeah, I thought she was a closet Pepe. I thought she was a crypto MAGA, and I'm glad that she's not.
I don't think so.
I think just culturally, this is a cleave. This is going to go right through the heart of a lot of Trump support in North Dakota, I can say. I think there's a lot of crossover there with the females that vote for Trump. And
you think she's just underlining like the real like departure point of like, hey, if you're any kind of even a remotely decent human being, you can't be a Republican.
Yeah, because I did not think this would happen, especially something worded like that.
Right. Appalls and terrifies me.
Yeah,
because that's strong stuff.
Like, who would have thought that her politics would be should be significant to the left of Kanye? What a brave new world.
That is really literally a brave. Like, if you said when they had that whole thing a couple years ago where he like interrupted her at the MTV Music Awards to say like Beyonce deserved it or something, and you were just like, hey, do you know that like in 3 or 4 years she's going to be speaking out against fascism? And Kanye's going to be like the most like prominent black advocate of fascism in the United States.
Yeah, if the question was black fascists for 500, it would be Kanye.
I mean, I think he would be a respectable guess.
He would be, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, who else?
Yeah.
I don't know who else I would name. At least, notably. You could do maybe some actual research.
Well, you can do. Well, who's that idiot on the sports guy? I always forget his name.
Jason
Whitlock.
Jason Whitlock.
Yeah, Jason Whitlock for $100,000. Jason Whitlock, like Mr. Like, there isn't racism. I go from my sports studio. I go from the ESPN studios to my doorman who lets me in my apartment. What are you talking about?
I think he was on the Ben Shapiro show last week.
Oh, I bet he was.
Whitlock.
Jason Whitlock.
Well, he's been on Rubin. I know that.
He's been on who?
Dave Rubin.
God.
Oh, God, of course. Jason Whitlock. I have some incredibly stupid questions for you. You have a 402, calling from a 402 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm Heath.